Hi, this is Michael Keenan. I'm the chairman of the board of directors for the Glastonbury Chamber of Commerce, and today I'd just like to take a few minutes to speak to you about the long-term strategic planning that we're doing at the chamber these days. And right now the chamber is doing fantastically. You know, we're putting on all kinds of great networking events for the business community. We're putting on a lot of programs and events that enhance the Glastonbury community in general, and we've been doing that for many years. But as far as strategic planning goes, we always like to look a little further down the road and make sure that we're running the chamber in a way that we remain relevant and important to the community in a long-term sense. So what we're looking at these days is demographics. So if you look at the chamber membership these days, in terms of members and the active members, all the wonderful people that donate a lot of their time and effort to help us remain a successful organization. If you look at those people, they tend to, vast majority of them tend to be baby boomers. Baby boomers being roughly age 50 to 65. But what we're looking at is down the road 10 years, maybe 15 years, the majority of those baby boomers at that point will have retired and will have moved on from the Chamber of Commerce, and then we have to look at what the workforce is going to look like at that point. And at that point it's going to be dominated by Generation X and Generation Y. Generation X, that's actually my generation, that's roughly age 35 to 50. And Generation Y is roughly age 13 to 35. I'd say in the chamber these days there's a sizable group of Generation X members, really not a lot of Generation Y members, not yet anyway. But again, down the road, if you look down the road, Generation Y has 80 million members in it. And that's even larger than the baby boomers group. So we're taking all that into account, and you know, the reality is if you look at the profile of a typical baby boomer versus the profile of a typical Generation Y person, you're going to find two very different people. Around about 1946 is when the first baby boomer was born, and at that point we had gone through the Great Depression, we had gone through World War II, and there was a pretty extraordinary period of economic prosperity, and that economic atmosphere made it possible for membership associations like the Chamber of Commerce to really thrive and really dominate the social and business communities. But then you look at Generation Y, and it's a very different picture. Those folks did not grow up in a time of economic prosperity at all. A lot of their parents were getting laid off, and there was a lot of financial instability. And on top of that, you have technology. Obviously, you know, when you look at the baby boomers, when you look at even people in my generation, when I was in school and I had to find out some fact that I didn't know, I had to plan out a trip to the library and crack open the World Book Encyclopedia and find that information. Generation Y is a little different. The internet was alive and well when they were born, and they've just been used to instant access to a lot of information. So that same information that would taken me a few days to get in school, these days, and Generation Y is used to this. Within 5 or 10 seconds, you can have almost any piece of information you want. So if you look at those two realities, you're going to end up with very different people. And so I think going forward, the chamber has to make sure that we do some things so that we will appeal to Generation X, Generation Y, and be an organization that's going to be effective for them and going to have a lot of benefits for them in terms of how they look at the business world and the world in general. So now that's not to say we're going to suddenly restructure the chamber in a dramatic fashion and forget about the baby boomers. Obviously, we want to remain an important organization for that particular demographic. That goes without saying. But the buzzword in foreign policy these days seems to be pivoting. So the U.S., in other words, is pivoting toward Asia and the Pacific. And I think the Chamber of Commerce needs to do a similar approach and start to pivot toward Generation X and Generation Y, include more of them in the leadership of the Chamber, and get their insight as to what is important to them and how the Chamber can serve them and help them grow their businesses, etc. So that's something we're going to work on in the future. Just want to let you know that, and I hope everybody's doing well and that you all enjoy your summer. And again, if there's any help you need from the Chamber, feel free to call us. We have a wonderful staff, and we hope to see you at the next Chamber event. Thanks very much.